Tom, you're coming away with 8 new drafted players. You called it a good weekend of work, but now that you've had some time away to kind of digest it, what do you make of the 2022 draft?
Well, it's not just the draft, it's really this whole offseason. It's been a really productive last couple months. Started with free agency, kind of rolled into the draft, and then even the players we signed after the draft, and just trying to get this thing going. But it was a really good week of work. The fun part about the draft is working with a lot of people. So you got scouts and coaches and support staff all at the draft. A small group of players.
Yeah. But
to go through that process with everybody, have people excited about it. And now it's about taking all these new players and then transitioning out of the field with everybody that's already here. So it's an exciting time.
Talking about a few players, let's start with Zion Johnson. You mentioned guards are people too.
Yeah,
You
right,
said, I know
right.
It's not the sexiest pick,
Yep.
but 2 straight years of offensive linemen in the first round. How does his skill set benefit what you're trying to accomplish up front?
It's pretty simple. We're just looking to protect our quarterback, and we have so many good skill position players that we need to give them time to go win their one-on-one matchups. That's really what it is. So it wasn't like we were in the first round saying we want to draft an offensive lineman, but that was the best player that was there for us. So that's the route we went. And it so happened, last year we got very lucky with Rashawn Slater. Now just be careful with Zion, because what Rashawn did last year was really impressive.
Yeah.
And that you don't see that every day from a player to step in the way he did, really the first day of training camp. So there'll be a transition for Zion, but we think he's a great fit up front for us. Really solidifies that offensive line, and again, allows everybody else to facilitate what they do best.
3 defensive backs were taken in this draft. Brandon Staley has said he's looking for DBs who can play man-to-man but also have position flexibility. How do those guys maybe fit into what he's looking for?
Yeah, that's great. He has that philosophy, because that's the way I was brought up in this business, is you can never have enough corners. We always say you can never have enough corners. But the way we play, our safeties have to have a lot of cover ability. So it's really defensive back. So you just can't have enough of them in this league, because in the end you have to rush the passer and you got to cover behind you. So it doesn't matter what year it is, we got to kind of keep adding to that. I mean, we signed J.C. Jackson in the offseason, and then we added some players in the draft, and we have players already here that are getting better. So, but it's important. And those guys, they do have to have some man cover ability. But they have to be smart, instinctive, and then have that, the speed and quickness to cover. And these guys all have that.
Competition is a huge part of this next phase of the offseason program, getting into camp, especially with these young guys. You had mentioned at the Combine the running back position. If this offense needs to improve, that area has to get better. What do you like about Isaiah Spiller?
Well, he's going to come in and really add a lot of competition with Larry and with Josh. It'll be a nice group there to work, and they can all kind of learn from us and learn from a guy who's been here, done that, and done it really well and done it the right way. So the good thing about Isaiah is he's coming from an offense that asks a lot of him, not only as a running back, but as a receiver and in pass protection. Those are big transitions once you go from college to the NFL. So he's had some of that already. He has, NFL size for a running back at 6 foot, 220 pounds, and a lot of production in the SEC, which is the best conference in the country. So we're excited that we could get him and kind of add to that group and just give us another weapon for Joe Lombardi to kind of use however he sees fit.
Couple linemen, obviously, Tito on the defensive side, Jamari on the offensive side. How does maybe their production and competition that they went against in college benefit them at this next level?
Yes, it always does. And there's 2 big conference players, and certainly Jamari at Georgia, not only the players he played against on Saturdays, but the players he practiced against on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're heavy days of practice at Georgia, so that just makes you better. Same thing with Tito at UCLA, and Tito was throwing on the track team for a couple of years. So now he's just a pure football player, and he's going to get even more work and development once he arrives here. So he had to add some guys on both sides of the ball that have some projected potential future with us. That part of the draft is really nice.
You had mentioned this pool of players was so vast because of the pandemic, but how did that impact the undrafted free agent process?
It seemed like we had more names than usual and a lot more players that we were interested in than usual, and I think probably next year and the year after we're going to have these big pool of players coming out just because of all these players that got the extra year. So there were definitely some players that usually would have been drafted in a different year that just weren't drafted this year just by numbers. And hopefully we got a couple of those guys in this group, and we're probably going to see the same thing the next couple of years.
All right, before we get out of here, we're going to play a little draft pick trivia. So I'm going to read some fun facts about these guys. You tell me who you think, just drafted players, it pertains to.
Okay.
Good? All right, first one. Which player's mom was a D1 college basketball player?
That's Zion. That one's easy.
Yep. Do you know where she played?
Virginia Tech.
Nailed it.
Hokie.
Look at this scouting. Which player's dad played for the same school as him?
Let's see, that'd be Spiller. So Fred Spiller is a tight end. I think I scouted him when he was there, so.
Oh.
Yeah, it shows how old I am now.
We won't mention
He's
that.
a good player.
Which player enjoys cooking and mainly baking?
Okay, so I did not know this until after the fact, which is probably better, but I heard it's Tito.
It is Tito.
Yeah.
He ordered spices from Indonesia to master his cinnamon rolls.
Good. I like the details.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, which player was a track star in high school? Applicable, I think, to a couple.
Yeah, there'd be a couple of them. Certainly JT Woods. You know, big time track, 100, 200, and I think the 110 hurdles. Let me think. There was one other one too.
Also begins with a J.
Was Taylor also track
Taylor
in
also
high school?
was track, yeah.
In New Jersey?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I will say New Jersey track is good, but Texas high school track, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's where it is?
yeah.
All right, which player is nicknamed the Heartbreak Kid?
That is JT Woods as well. Yeah.
Do you know where that came from?
You know, I didn't even know that till after the draft as well, so.
Breaks the hearts of quarterbacks.
Okay, well, let's see it continue here.
Last fun fact, which player has commissioned his own artwork of cars?
Wow. Yeah, you stumped me on that
Stumped one.
You stumped the
Final
GM
one.
on that one. Yeah.
Xander. He also does landscapes and houses.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That is an interesting skill set for a fullback. It is, yeah.
Necessary requirement.
No, but I mean that's great. I mean, you know, all these players, as well as us, everybody has hobbies off the field that kind of take them away from football a little bit, which you have to have. I mean, this game, there is so much pressure, so much work to do. It's good to have something on the side that they really love to do. So.
Do you draw? Do you cook?
Yeah, neither.
Okay.
Yeah.
Track though. You run out here.
Yeah, I'm a little slower than JT, a little slower than Jasir.
Thanks, Tom.
No problem.
If you want to see more content like this, check out the link right here.